Has the expanded playoff killed conference championship games? Stick around. This is Way Offsides. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Way Offsides. This is a Way Offsides pop-up. I've got Jeff here with me tonight. Pow, pow, pow. Welcome back. Oh, man. First two rounds of the college football playoffs are in the books. The first round was lackluster, in my opinion. The second round was pretty good. I enjoyed watching Tennessee get boat raced by Ohio State in that first round. The second round had a couple of surprises, 4 of them to be exact, and we're going to talk about that. First of all, before we even get to that, Jeff, how was your holiday? Happy New Year. It's officially 2025. Hope all of you guys had a wonderful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Happy Holiday, whatever, however you celebrate, hopefully responsibly. But Jeff, how was you?
It was good. It was a little sad this year. First year without my dad, so it was different, but we got through it together. First year without my wife, without her dad as well. So we lost both of our dads this past year. So it was our first Christmas, but it was actually a blessing because we got to all experience that first Christmas without our dad, like all together the same year. We didn't have to do it like stack years or a couple years later have to go through it again. We got to all grieve and be there for each other all together the same year. So we were blessed that it was the same year, a difficult year, but we had a good Christmas and a good New Year, and 2025 is here. And so we're looking ahead.
It's already the 5th, man. I was telling folks earlier, I was like, hey, in a week, we're going to be halfway through January already. So gear up, man. You'll be putting those trees back out before you know it. But since it's January, college football fans, per the Dr. Pepper commercial, are still celebrating the holidays because the college football playoffs are in full swing. Not only that, the transfer portal has closed for most teams. Alabama is closed today, 5 days after the losing to Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl. We're going to do a video about that. I can't
believe we started 2024 losing to Michigan and ended 2024 losing to Michigan.
I can believe it for one reason, but I won't say it because people get mad. But anyway, that door has closed and a new era has begun in Tuscaloosa. And I'm really looking forward to it. But we're going to talk about that in some other videos. But in this one, I really want to talk about the expanded college football playoff, if it's a hit, if it's a miss, and then really what it could potentially mean for conference championship games. We saw 4 conference champions get that extra week off to prepare and then lose. Georgia, probably a lot of people's preseason favorite to win the national championship, being one of them. A little overrated, just a little bit. You can say what you want to. I don't think that Georgia wins that game, even with the daunted Carson Beck.
I know overrated, okay? I picked Alabama to win it all.
I'm overrated.
I know overrated. So trust me on the overrated. I'm a good judge of it.
Hey, I picked Ohio State, and they're looking
playing the best
part now.
They've got an NFL roster up there, and
yeah, I mean they paid $20 million plus for it, so they better.
I hope they win, or otherwise that looks bad.
Actually, I don't know, man. I hope they don't. I think it sets a terrible precedent for college football. What do you guys think?
I don't want them to win. But...
Yeah, me neither. Who do you guys have winning it all moving forward? If anybody says Penn State, I'm going to make fun of you at a later time of day.
It's Ohio State's to lose unless Notre Dame is playing so well defensively that they can somehow. But Ohio State's they're just loaded.
Yeah, they are. They are.
5 different places. Yeah. They lost their starting center and they didn't even miss a beat. So I mean,
must be nice.
The SEC's leading rusher 2 years ago is an afterthought in that offense. He's just RB2.
Yeah, but now watch. Now that they got, it's just anyway. Just
Henderson,
that's for another show.
Henderson, is that his name? Yeah.
Quinshawn Jenkins.
Yeah.
Ole Miss running back. But anyway, I was taken aback, obviously, by the first round of games. They were terrible, bunch of blowouts, like we knew with SMU getting in there, Clemson. We knew they weren't going to be great games.
And they weren't. They were exactly how we thought they were.
How
everybody knew they were going to go. Vegas knew it. We knew it.
It's hard in hindsight to talk about it now because obviously, as an Alabama fan, when they put in SMU and you watch SMU get boat race, and then you watch, Clemson get beat the way they did, you're like, Alabama should have been in, and then Alabama goes and stinks it up against Michigan. I will say, bowl Alabama is not the same as playoff Alabama. I don't know that they would have beat Michigan anyway.
Bowl Alabama is the Oklahoma Alabama, the Oklahoma version. That's
sure, absolutely.
That's bowl Alabama. When there's nothing on the line, there's not a team that could give a shit less than Alabama in a meaningless bowl game.
Utah a few years ago.
That was the best team we had in a while, and we got boat raced. And that guy Whittingham's still living off that game.
Yeah, they want to be there, man. They didn't want to be there.
Oklahoma 2013 after the kick six. Remember that game?
I do remember that. Yeah.
We were stacked and could have given a poop less about that game. And Oklahoma, and then Bob Stoops, hey, we can come with the SEC. We can hang with them. I mean, everybody knew they didn't care about that game.
They beat Alabama this year, but all right, back to the topic at hand. This college football playoff. Personally, I was curious as to why they chose to expand to 12. I was fine with an expansion, but I felt like, well, yeah, absolutely. But I felt like 8 teams was probably enough.
Yeah, it was proven this year. The first round was a joke. The first round was a big waste of time.
Those last 4 in, they got throttled. I think Alabama would have been a little more competitive if they would have gotten in. Possibly. It's hard to tell with this Alabama team, 2024, is because they're so inconsistent, and that team goes as Jalen Milroe goes, and he's been one of the most inconsistent players in the country all year. But
maybe the most.
I think the storyline coming out of the second round is the fact that your conference champions all lost. They got a bye week. They get that extra time to prepare. They don't have to play that game, and then they all get beat. Georgia lost in the Sugar Bowl. Golly, dude. It's just kind of crazy to me.
I don't know what's happening. I don't understand. Like, they're tied into the TV networks and stuff with these conference championship games, these ticket sales and stuff. But this Clemson fans are the only ones that cared anything about the conference championship games this year because that was their only ticket in. Everybody else was already in. So it was just like,
if you've done the work and put yourself in position to be a lock for the college football playoff, why would you want to play a conference championship game at this point? We talked about this a few weeks ago when it looked like Alabama was potentially going to make the conference championship before they shit themselves at Oklahoma.
Bad.
And I was like, I don't want Alabama playing in that game. Well, they'll get a bye week if they win it. Well, they're probably not going to beat Georgia again. Why not take that championship weekend and there's your bye week, man. Get ready. I think there's something to be said this late in the year. Guys aren't used to playing football this deep into the year. And so when you take that week off after a big game, a big conference championship game, and then you got to play again in a couple of weeks in a big bowl game, especially, with the holidays, trying to manage all of that stuff. I think that reared its head. So to me, I don't understand why you would want to kind of get out of flux by taking that bye week after the conference championship game. Have your turkey, play your conference championship game the weekend or 2 weekends after Thanksgiving. Take that week and then, start your prep instead of worrying about holidays, Christmas, and all of this stuff. So I'm wondering, and Jeff, you said it, conference championship games aren't going anywhere because they're big money makers. Yeah, especially in the Big Ten. I mean,
unless you're Clemson and you have to win to get in. But
yeah.
This is where auto bids blow everything up. This is where auto bids ruin everything because of this. You get crap like we just saw.
And that's exactly where I was going with this is if they're going to expand, you've got to get rid of the auto bid structure.
Yes.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's awful.
Not all 6-6, not all 7-5, not all 8-4, not all 9-3 teams are built equally. They're just not. Not all schedules are the same. Not all wins are the same. Not all losses are the same. And so just because somebody wins their conference doesn't mean that they're as good as the ACC this year. The ACC was a joke of a conference, and everybody was riding Miami all year because they went into Gainesville and did what they did week 1 against a Florida team that was thrown together at the last minute. And we saw as the year progressed, Florida got a lot better. I'd love to see that team play Florida now in Gainesville. I bet you they get boat raced. I bet you they get embarrassed and run out of Gainesville. And so, for a while it was that. But then you give Clemson and SMU both the nod to get into the 12-team playoff because they played in the conference championship game of a dying, bleeding conference. The best historical team in your conference is won 2 games this year. 2. And it just Florida State.
2. No, I said 2.
Yeah, they won 2 games this year. And so you're going to put 2 teams in there. They didn't even put the best team from their conference in the playoff. I mean, as Miami wasn't as good as the media wanted you to think they were, but they dang sure were the best team out of the ACC. And they didn't even put them in the playoff. So I don't understand this idea of those automatic bids, man. It does not make sense. It doesn't work, and it's got to change.
The love of the group of 5 teams are. Why do there have to be special rules in place for these group of 5s? They're not part of the big boy table, and everybody knows it, and they know it, and that's okay. They don't have to be invited to the big boy lunch. That's all right.
Well, my thing is if you want them to be invited to the big boy table, why is NIL a thing? Why does that exist? Because they can't keep up financially with the Oregons and the Ohio States and the Michigans of the world. So, I mean, eventually there's going to be, not that there isn't already a huge talent gap. That gap is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. So maybe 5-6 years down the road, it takes care of itself and they just don't make it.
Well, and look at Oregon. They should have tanked. They should have blown their conference game, so they could have gotten a better draw because they got the worst draw.
Oh yeah,
they were number 1 all season.
They got screwed, and I'm not making an excuse for what happened in the Rose Bowl because they got absolutely dominated.
They got whipped.
But yes, their draw was atrocious.
Penn State has to play SMU and Boise State.
Yeah, and then you look at Georgia, who they didn't survive, ironically, but they've got a worse record than Oregon, and they got a pretty breezy draw in the playoff. And Notre Dame.
You almost want to get in the lower seed in this playoff, so you can get a home playoff game, an easier draw. I mean, it's like.
Exactly. That's why I wanted Bama in because I knew the draw they'd get. And I'm like, hey, man, it's not terrible.
We can win a game or 2, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not Michigan. Michigan knows how to defend us very well. And, so we wouldn't have played Michigan. So you never know.
The very first SEC championship game that was played between you were there?
92.
Yeah.
That was the first Alabama game I ever went to in person.
There was potential for Alabama to play themselves out of the national championship game if they would have.
Had Florida won that game, 1994.
They were out.
That's exactly what you're saying. 94. We were undefeated and lost to Florida. I was at that game too, and lost to Florida, and we were out.
Yeah,
and we played Ohio State in the Citrus Bowl or something.
Yeah, so it just makes me wonder, like,
Gene Stallings.
And I know that for that. Everybody's going to say, well, the committee's not going to punish you for losing your championship game. Maybe that's true if you're SMU, but if you're Georgia last year, I'm going to stick to this. I get it. It was a 4-team playoff. There weren't as many seats, but you can't tell me that Georgia wasn't one of the best 4 teams in the country last year. They lost to Alabama in Atlanta, but they barely lost, and they did not make the Field of 4. And so why did SMU get the nod? When they weren't playing the best team in their conference championship game, that team sat at home and then had a bunch of opt-outs, so they lost their bowl game. But still, I mean,
and the quarterback walked off at halftime.
Yeah, which that was actually planned by the staff, by the way. So,
so he could get the record, and then
I don't know that I agree with it, but kind of not.
Well, they lost the game, and that's what you get when you screw around like that. You lose. And Miami went 2-3 in the last 5 games.
Absolutely,
9-0 and finished 11-3.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just
10-3, whatever.
I'm struggling, and I'd love to hear the chats. We're not doing a live show, but please in the comments tell us what you think. Is it worth, like, next year? Would you rather see Alabama play that extra game in the SEC championship? After what you witnessed so far, take the bye, or would you rather just see them, get in a lower seed and just start playoff play immediately? I think I would take the latter, just because I
don't want the break.
And
then get cold and rusty.
Yeah, and then the SEC championship game typically is going to be a tough game. You're not going to get some pushover team. You're going to get a Georgia or a Texas or Tennessee or, on the rare occasion.
You're going to get one of those 3 games. One of those 3 teams.
Yeah. So, I feel like we're getting to a point to where teams and coaches don't have much motivation to play in a conference title game.
You're right.
How many national championships has Alabama won under Nick Saban without playing in the SEC championship?
Was it 2?
Yeah.
Was it 11 and 17?
Yeah. So two of the 6 that Nick Saban won, he never played in his conference championship game. Those seasons, do you give a flying crap that Alabama didn't win the SEC that year? No, you don't. We
got like 38 of those. I don't care about that trophy.
Yeah, I just don't care about the conference.
It just gets in the way.
Yeah, put me in the playoff. Let me make that field of 12 or 14, whatever it's going to be next year or the year after, because they're going to expand it again, which they shouldn't, but whatever. So I just want to know, man. I kind of just wanted to hop on here and gripe and complain.
They should have just gotten rid of all those games that weekend, and everybody had a bye week after the end of the season. There's that bye week, and then start the playoffs 2 weeks after the last game of the season. The season doesn't need to be January 5th, and we still have 2 rounds of playoffs or 1 round of playoff plus the final. That's too many. It's too long. It's too many games. These are college kids. You got to play in 18, 19 games. That's too many games. We're going now almost to the end of February middle of January before the game gets played. Not end of February, but end of January, middle of January for the game gets played.
The beginning of February.
We're already watching basketball now, and it's just like we're like War and Peace. Like, how long are we on this thing? Like,
the spring
wrap
semester.
This thing up.
Yeah, spring semesters will start before the national championship games.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and then competing with the NFL playoffs. Like, why would you go head to head with the NFL? Like, what are you thinking there? You're not going to win ever.
I don't know, man.
It will not happen.
I don't
the
know.
NFL is the beast, and you can't slay the beast.
I'm just a guy on YouTube.
I
don't have all the answers.
I'm just a guy trying to figure out the algorithm.
That's right, brother. All right, well,
so
we're happy to be back.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you back.
Yeah, me too, man. I know it's for those of you who don't know, we've got a lot of personal stuff going on in my life, and so it's been kind of hard to be posting videos as much as I was a few months ago. But with the new year, some things have kind of are ironing themselves out. So we'll get back to posting more content and being more predictable with our live times. So, you guys don't have to stress out about that, but please, while you're waiting, you know what I'm going to ask you to do before we end the video. I need you all to please go like, subscribe, follow the channel.
Please.
If you don't, Bill will visit you in the middle of the night. I promise. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well so that you don't miss a thing. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming on.
We have fun here.
Yeah, we do. For those of you who don't know, Chris is like the king of Mardi Gras, so he's going to have a lot of fun stuff coming in the next few weeks. We'll be eating king cake and rescuing little babies from pastries. It'll be great. But But until then, as always, you know the drill. Say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands. Horns down.
Horns down.
Beat Auburn, LSU,
beat LSU, Tennessee too.
All of them. And hopefully beat Michigan next time you play them.
Please? Anyone?
Beat by Sharon. Anyway, roll tide, guys. We'll see you soon.